Okay, so hello everyone. I am here at the gallery in Templeton, and I am here with Eric, otherwise known as Q. And he's going to tell you a little bit about his backstory, but he's an absolutely amazing artist, even though he's very modest about it so far. You didn't tell me a lot of the things, actually, that I ended up finding out myself. But you do great work in many different facets. So tell our viewers a little bit more about that.
I grew up here in Atascadero. I started metal sculpting, and that took me kind of far in the tattoo world. So when it took me into that world, I started tattooing again. So
Nice.
I kind of like brought my name back up.
And you've always had a love for art, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've always done art throughout my whole life.
But metal art, that was something new to me, and I didn't even realize some of the things you have here in your studio or your pieces, because
Yeah.
they're pretty amazing. So can you talk a little bit about the metal art?
I always had paintings. I always did paintings, and I went to a show in LA. I had a few metal pieces, and during the show, nobody really cared. I mean, they didn't care. It's not they didn't care about the art, but everybody had prints and everybody
Right,
had paintings.
right.
And since I had metal artwork, people were,
I'm
were
sure
drawn to
it got their attention.
Yeah, so when that happened, I was like, this is, I need to follow this facet
Right.
because, everybody has paintings, nobody's doing metal art.
Right.
So that's kind of where that started. So I went with that and kept
And you're
doing it.
still doing it.
Oh, yeah, I still do
you
it.
still have pieces that you're doing. And by the way, he has over 15,000 Instagram followers. I thought I should note that, because that's pretty impressive, whether you think it is or not. That means you're doing something right.
Yeah.
So, and then talk about the art, as far as tattooing.
When I got back into tattooing, a lot of the guys that I knew or in that circle were, they were high level artists. So I learned from some of the best in LA as far
Nice.
as black and gray.
Nice.
So I worked at 2 shops in LA. One was Goodfellas, and the other one was Solon Art Collective. So that was very good for me, because I learned again, from some of the best artists around the world.
Absolutely.
So.
And you specialize in gray and black.
Yeah, I usually do black and gray, but I mean, color is still there. When I first went to Goodfellas, all the artists there basically did black and gray. So I did black and gray, and I started doing color because nobody else would.
Right.
So
Interesting.
yeah, so I kind of, it's like you got to fill somebody's need.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And you do everything from small, basic tattoos, if that's what somebody wants, or if it's your first tattoo, of course, we all start there, but it usually doesn't stop there.
Yeah.
And then you do extensive tattoos. So I've seen some of the cover up work that you've done that is phenomenal, and some of those pieces are just, and it's hard to do that. I would imagine that that's like the toughest thing when you're a tattoo artist.
Nowadays, there's better inks, there's a lot,
Right.
better product out there, so it's a little bit easier, but it's still a challenge.
Right.
But one of the things that starting out tattooing, when you're in a shop and you're like, the low guy on the totem pole, that's kind of like what you're doing. You're doing
That's
a lot
your
of
entry.
script. Yeah, you're doing a lot of script, and you're doing a lot of stuff that other people don't want to do.
Wow. I'm sure it's rare that you can not do something, though. I mean,
Yeah, there's always something you can do, but sometimes people will have like an image, let's say, that's not suitable for a cover up.
Got
So
it.
then I have to kind of like guide them and tell them, well, you can't choose this, but you can choose something
Right.
more like this. So
But
it's-
at least you give them options,
Yeah.
and you conversate with them so they know whether they should go that direction or not.
Yeah.
And that's always helpful too. Because I think a lot of us think we know what we want sometimes, or we'll bring something in as far as a picture or an example, but I would imagine you also add your own art
Oh,
element
yeah.
to that. And you're
Yeah.
good at that.
Yeah.
My brother's been pretty ecstatic about how you do that.
Yeah, because
So-
that's another thing. Everybody wants to put, the most they can into their first tattoo, and a lot of times that could be bad.
Right.
It's better to keep it simple and keep it nice,
And then you can
and add
to it
yeah.
after the fact. And so some of the bigger pieces that you've done, and when I say bigger, I guess it would be something that you could be working on for days, or somebody that just comes back repetitively. Do you have
Yeah.
a lot of that?
Yeah, like on back pieces, or let's say a name across the shoulders. It can easily take 3 sessions.
Right,
you
right.
know.
But that's somebody that's putting good quality work
Oh, yeah.
into this.
Yeah, a lot
And we
of
want to make
shading.
sure we have somebody good, because this is going on our bodies, right?
Well, yeah, like they say, you get what you pay for.
Totally. Okay, so one last question. So how do you think you compare to other artists in the area?
Most of the artists around here, and I haven't really checked everybody out. I mean, I've seen a few other people. There's a lot of good artists around here. I have like that Southern Cal black and gray style,
Right.
so that's not really done up here as much. I've seen a lot of traditional shops, so I'm more into realism,
Right.
or black and gray. You know, that, like I said, that Southern Cal kind of style.
Right, and a lot of the stuff that we've seen, you do great work. So as you can see in the samples that we're showing, if you're looking for somebody that really knows what they're doing, that's very experienced and talented, then Q's your guy.